So the University of Jos has recognizes two Christian and Muslim bodies, and they have allowed for the establishment of a mosque and then two campus chapels. That is the Chapel of Faith and then the Catholic Church for both Protestant and Christian and Roman Catholic students. So usually students would organize themselves and then function under these two bodies. But then you have Salafi and Pentecostal groups who are not actually recognized by the university. So these ones organize themselves in different ways. For Pentecostal students, usually they organize themselves by, creating what they call campus fellowships within the campus, and they meet in halls, they meet in recreational centers within the campus, and sometimes also outside of the campus within the hostel settings. So usually these students would organize themselves in that way. And then for Salafi students, they organize themselves under the Muslim Student Society. And usually they hold special programs like prayers, like the Jummah prayers, like special lectures, where they invite clerics from within the city, prominent ones, who would come and give them talks and lectures on special topics. Then they also use the Ramadan period to organize themselves within this campus mosque, which although is still under construction, but they have a hall where they meet every Friday to pray and to discuss certain issues that is, common to them. So these are the ways in which Salafi students organize themselves within the campus under the umbrella of the MSS. Now, after that, they also visit some of their group mosques outside of the campus, because they can't find this expression within the campus. They go outside the campus to neighboring residential areas where students reside, but where these Salafi groups have seized the opportunity to build mosques and offer an opportunity for these students to come in and to, to pray, to also hold their meetings and hold other activities. So usually within the campus, you don't see this division into various Salafi groups. They usually come under the umbrella of the Muslim Students Society. But because the campus goes beyond just within the university, they also move out to the neighboring communities, and you have several mosques, like the Izala Mosque, you have the Nasbat Mosque, all around the campuses. So these students actually go out to organize themselves and express themselves within the campus. For Pentecostal students, besides being able to form these fellowships, they also access other Pentecostal churches outside of the university. And there are several of them who also exist within these neighboring communities where students reside. So students are able to mobilize themselves in this way as the Pentecostal and Salafi students. They're able to mobilize themselves and then create their own space, within the larger MSS space or the Fellowship of Christian Students space. But generally, students are recognized within the university in these two chapels, so under the Fellowship of Christian Students and then the MSS. Now the university tries to regulate their activities through what we call the Student Affairs Unit of the university. So if there are issues that the university realizes is causing a problem, the Student Affairs comes in and then manages some of these activities or regulates their activities. If there are complaints coming from other people, or there are, sometimes clashes between these groups, they do that, or they complain through the Student Affairs of the university. Then we also have the Hostel Committee Unit, which is it's a group of lecturers who've been selected to manage activities within the hostels. So if they notice that there are activities that go beyond what the university regulates, They report that through the administration to the administration through the fellowship. Through the student affairs of the university. So these are the ways in which students or Salafi and Pentecostal students organize themselves within, yeah, the campus. Yeah, in mobilizing their religiosity, Christian and Muslim students have what they call fellowship representatives for Christian students and then representatives for Muslim students. So it's usually one of the students who becomes like the leader for the fellowship or for the Muslim group on campus. So that way, this student acts as a leader who mobilizes other students, and organize programs for the students. For Christian students, they have what they call midweek prayer meetings, which they hold. In almost every department would have a fellowship of students, maybe your religious studies, students of economics. So they meet within the week to pray together. Then they appoint this person who is in charge of representing them. And usually you have a male and a female representing these groups. So for Muslim students, you also have a representative of the Muslim Student Society on campus. They are usually elected by the students or selected by the students to really organize and mobilize other students and recruit other students into these groups. So the idea of campus mama and papa actually comes from the Pentecostal style of calling the overseer or the pastor of a particular Pentecostal church as mama and papa. It's very common in Nigeria that when you have the leader of a church, the church members refer to him as mama and papa. So students actually try to sort of mimic or copy this style of the campus of the mama and papa within the broader Pentecostal body and bring it into the campus. So these representatives serve as mama and papa of this campus. Now, why mama and papa is because the papa represents the male students, while the mama represents the female students on campus. So if they have any activity that they want to, carry on as female students, they have this representative who would be like the spokesperson, who would be like the leader, giving them guidance and helping them in organizing or mobilizing themselves within the campus. So this is where this idea of mama and papa comes from. And it's a very important notion for me because I see these students like training themselves to become spiritual leaders, but they are not doing it in the community or in the church, but they are doing it besides their secular education, which they are, there to acquire. They also find time to train themselves to be Muslim leaders, to be Christian leaders within this community. And in my interaction with a number of them, you hear them say that they see this as a training ground, trying to train them to become leaders in the churches, in the communities, and so on. So this is where this idea of mama and papa comes from. So these ones would mobilize students to organize special programs, to organize talks, to organize whatever it is they want to do as students. They have like a leader to guide them, to give them a voice, and if that person needs to represent them in the administration, it is this campus papa and campus mama that would do that. It's a very innovative program, and I think I admire the students for that because it gives them that, opportunity to build themselves as leaders. Yeah, religious groups in Jos actually do not view the university only as a space for secular learning, but they also see it as a space where they can introduce their brand of religiosity in this campus. So they see it as a space for religious development or spiritual development of students. So you find a lot of them actually not really contesting, but trying so hard to mobilize students and recruit students from these universities into their churches or to their own groups, for example. So you have in some of them would actually see the campus as, for Christians, would see them as a mission field. So you have Pentecostal groups in the city, but then they have students who represent them on the campus, and so they mobilize these students. And when they have special programs, you see the students distributing flyers to their classmates, distributing flyers around the campus in order to invite students into to their churches. So they see these churches more as sort of as a space for proselytization, a space for mission activities, and so they always seize that opportunity to do that. Now, there's also that sort of a symbiotic relationship between the university and the communities around it, because as they rely on these students to mobilize for them, these students also are able to access religious places. They are able to access the mosque. They are able to access the churches in these communities, and so that is how the community or the neighborhoods around or religious groups around see this university as a place where they can mobilize students, they can recruit students into their their churches or to their mosques or to their own religious groups.